Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Gautham Sivakumar. I'm a senior project manager here at Carolina Handling.
And I'm Jacob Barrett, systems engineer with Carolina Handling's Intralogistics Solutions Group.
Awesome. Thank you guys for both being here today. We're going to talk about customer success stories, something that you both are very familiar with here at Carolina Handling. So we felt like this would be perfect for you guys to speak to. So we're going to get into a couple of questions. If you're joining us live, you can comment below if you have a question as they're speaking, and we are monitoring it. So please feel free to comment anything that you want to know below, and these guys will answer it. So we're going to talk about customer success stories. And first, I want to start at when we go to a customer site. What challenges do you see customers facing most often?
Yeah, I can start there. So a lot of times our customers they're really good at their craft, right? Whatever type of business they're in, whatever type of manufacturing they do, they're really good at what they do. Where I think sometimes the disconnect is trying to figure out how they take their business and their manufacturing processes from where they are now to then how do you scale to grow another 10, 20, 30, 50%, right? And I think what Carolina Handling then can offer is to look at your processes, understand how your specific business within the market that you're in works. We do a lot with lean management to then figure out how can we first streamline the existing processes before we add in anything else, right? So once we've done that work, we can then really start digging into what kind of solutions we can provide to then get your business to the next level. And I think that takes a lot of the headache out of trying to figure out how to grow your business.
Yeah, and if you're talking about going in and really checking out their processes and stuff like that, how long does that typically take? How much time do you spend maybe at a customer site, or is it different for each customer?
Yeah. You want to start there?
Yeah, no, it's I would say it's definitely a very case by case basis. It kind of comes down to what we're trying to look at from a top down view. Is it, are we focusing in on a few processes, a single process, or the warehouse, how everything flows as a whole? So for us, sometimes that's just an initial consultation visit where we are able to hone in on a single application or a single challenge that they're working with, and we're able to brainstorm some possible solutions, work through some of the design criteria that we need to consider when going into that specific process, and kind of develop something from there. And in some cases, it's a situation where we're actually going to take a large overview of the whole facility, and we're going to bring it back to our team, bring in a couple engineers, a couple other minds that can start to mold and shape a design that we think will handle several different, different criteria or different challenge points that the customer might have. So really, it's going to come down to case by case and determining the right number of people we need to have involved to utilize for something.
Yeah, and those design studies get really cool. We get, like, a lot of our customers will share some of that data with us, right? And we have some really cool people here that can sit through hundreds, thousands of lines of Excel data to figure out, what actually is working and what might not be working. So it's really cool.
Yeah,
which would give a lot of people a headache.
Yeah.
Because in some cases it might be, I need to move box from A to B, but it might also be this connects to this process we're doing or something else. And we'll go from, coming from as a background as a forklift manufacturer originally, we're always looking for how we can handle materials and use the right equipment. But now with growth into automation and future integration capabilities that we have, now we're looking at ways we can implement robotics and conveyors and advanced sorters or advanced scanning equipment just to move products and to handle so many different processes that customer might have never envisioned in their process. And it kind of opens up a lot of eyes when we're in front of that customer and start throwing out ideas or start developing something that they might have never thought about. Yeah.
Does it ever make them nervous when you start mentioning the automation piece of it, or do they think it's not necessarily for them at the time?
Most definitely. And I think we've had some past experiences we can speak to later about some of those situations where we've came in and established customers we've had for years that know us for our forklift equipment come in and say, we're looking at ways to improve process. And when we start talking about integrating new equipment, conveyors, print and apply scanning, things like that, initially they're like, okay, that's way over our head. But once we start to show them some of those solutions, maybe even see it at a local facility that we've implemented for a different customer. Those kind of lights start to turn on and they get really excited and say, oh, if it was that easy for this customer, why can't I do it?
Yeah.
And it opens up a lot of eyes. That's probably one of the biggest hurdles we run into, is just giving them the comfort to know that this isn't something that's like only in Amazon. And that's something we've heard many times where, oh, Amazon does it that way, but that doesn't mean, you know, your mom and pop shop or smaller customers can't be able to see some of those solutions for themselves too.
Yeah, and I think that the special thing about Raymond and Carolina Handling is that, I mean, we're very vendor agnostic when it comes to the types of technologies that, you know, once we've done these design studies and actually work with the customer to understand where they want to be in 5 or 10 years, we don't have to, you know, try and fit a square peg in a triangular hole, right? We can find a vendor, a technology that actually will work for them and not try and force something that might not be the best solution for them. And I think that's really cool, right?
And I'm sure that means a lot to the customer too, that you're not just trying to sell them on something, that you're really trying to provide solutions
Yep.
For their operations. So whenever you go to the customer site, we've talked a lot with the design study. What's your role? What does that look like whenever you visit?
Yeah, so kind of hitting on that earlier a little bit. What Carolina Handling provides, we really come in as, in a way, we try to approach it as a consultation a lot of times, because we have so many different things we can access. We don't want to come in and try and sell a new, you know, prospective client on this is what you need for your warehouse, because in reality that maybe only hits 10% of the time, because there's so many other factors that for us it's really important to be able to really delve into with that client and understand just the full plethora of different activities that go on in that warehouse, because one solution might not fit the rest of the warehouse, or it might interfere with other processes. So from my end, I like to go into a warehouse or a distribution center, wherever that client might be, and try and take it from a step-by-step approach and just say, walk me through your operation, or I guess in a way, the life cycle of a product in your facility, understanding how something comes into the warehouse, where it needs to go, where it's stored, what value-added processes might come up, how things are put away, and how things are processed to go out the door to their destination. So for us, that's the big piece. We come in, we say, let us kind of take that adventure with you, understand how that whole process looks, and then from there, that's when we start to get creative, get ideas, maybe hone in on a few problem areas and start to develop ideas and solutions. And for us, it's less about trying to sell the customer on that, but to take that journey with them and get them involved, so they're also having an impact on whatever solution we come up with. It's really a case that we want to partner with our clients versus try to be that end all be all for them that they're going to rely on. We want them to have some stake in it, where they feel like they were part of the design, part of the consultation, part of the approach to get to where they're going.
Very well said.
Yeah, I know.
It might have been long-winded, sorry.
No, that was perfect. And you say the word partner, which is very different than, necessarily a customer. So you're truly building partnerships when you go in here. What has been the benefit of that in terms of going into facilities when you get there? How does that look different than maybe other people might experience?
Well, when we come in and we are able to provide a solution for one of our new clients or partners, we want to be able to come back in after the fact and be able to maybe show that solution off to another prospective partner that we're working with, or we want to be able to, videos, pictures, things like that, make it a showpiece for them as much as us, because really at the end of the day, these are solutions that we look to be able to service, maintain, and support throughout the life of that, whatever that solution might be, whether it's racking, automated systems, forklifts. Service has always been one of the big pinnacles for our company, and to be able to continue to provide that, we really view that as like one of the most important things to be a successful partner with anyone we work with.
Yeah. I mean, so putting a couple of thoughts together here, right? So we're talking, you mentioned the word partner, and Jacob, you were talking about how we do consultations and design studies. Caleb, we were at the Raymond Marketing Summit last week, and I kept hearing these thoughts of like, hey, you know, the reason why I think we've been successful in our roles and in some of the jobs that we've done is that we take it as less of a, hey, let's try and sell you this technology, or we're going to go through this process and make sure that we get you guys a system that does take you from where you are now to where you want to be in 10 years. But I think what's really cool is that our team makes it kind of common practice to just like stop in to a customer site, you know, with heads up, of course, right?
Yeah.
But just stop in and like see 1, 2, 6 months later, hey, how's the system working? Is there anything that we can change? What can we do to make sure that you guys are satisfied with where you're at? And I think that's what like a partnership is, right? It's not a matter of us getting you what you want now, and then we're going to step away until you give us a call back later, right? We're going to work with you guys to make sure that you're satisfied and that we're able to grow with you.
Yeah, awesome. And that kind of leads us into our next question when we're talking about different customer sites and examples. What is an example you guys can think of how Carolina Handling was able to increase efficiency of a customer's operations?
Yeah, so Jacob, I'm gonna steal your thought from earlier. So we had a customer that was definitely a little bit smaller than what you would imagine an Amazon or Walmart or any, you know, big online distributor to be. So they're a lot smaller, and when they had reached out to us, we had already had lift equipment at their facility, and they were asking us kind of the same questions that we've been talking about today of like, hey, how do we, right now, our orders take about 2 weeks to get out, right? How do we shore that to be much smaller? How do we shore that up? And we started talking to them about other technologies. We started talking to them about, you know, conveyors, robotics, and immediately I think we saw their eyes. We saw the red flags in their eyes, saying, "Oh, whoa, you know, we're not an Amazon, we're not a Walmart. We can't. That doesn't make sense for us." But we kind of introduced them to the idea of AMRs and those types of robots to take the load off of some of their workers that were on site that were putting in 20, 30, 40,000 steps a day, and trying to, you know, help them use their time better and then allow them to do more valuable work. So I think it's sometimes important for a customer to realize, hey, you're actually bigger than you think you are, and it might be possible very quickly. And I think in this customer situation, they were able to see the benefits of that system and frankly recoup their investment cost within 6 months. And it was a really cool story.
Yeah, that was a case too where we came in and we were able to understand their operation better, and that was such like a small piece when you think of all the things that are going on in the warehouse. But just looking at the time to go from one pick to the next in an operation and finding the right solution that cuts that, you know, into 10% of what it was before. Yeah. You know, just a case of right equipment, right people, right process, and all of a sudden you start to see how that kind of domino effects down through the facility, and that opens up other areas where, you know, the challenges with automation, sometimes you find a new bottleneck that approaches after you improve one efficiency so quickly. But when you look at it from the grand scheme of things, seeing that small incremental change and how it kind of develops throughout the facility is a really cool thing. And that's something we took a lot of pride in, being able to see that change. Yeah.
We do have one question that just came in. And the question is, I'm looking at AGVs for our facility. How would I go about having that initial conversation?
No, that's a great question. One of the best things for us is usually contacting our Intralogistics Solutions group just with a baseline of what you want to do and what you're working towards. And that's always a good step for us to start to get involved, make sure we have the right people assigned. You're coming to the right place, reaching out to us, and the fact that AGVs, there's so many different options, there's so many different solutions, so many different manufacturers with it. So that's something we really will delve into, what the process looks like, how you're moving material now, how you want to move material in the future. All the spec details we'll start to work out with you and be able to develop kind of a profile so we know that we're speccing the right designed AGV and we're going to the right partners to be able to support that.
Yeah, and Jeffrey, I will give your name over to these guys so that way you guys can connect on LinkedIn, and it's even in the event page. So feel free to connect with them and shoot them over a message. So then that way you can get some more details and they can point you in the right direction and have those conversations.
Absolutely.
Thank you for asking. Kind of talking about going back to the customer sites, it also, what I noticed is so much less movement on all of the people who are working there, and how much before they were walking back and forth, like, 8-9 miles a day. And so there's also this benefit for people who are working there. Can you guys touch on that just a little bit, and what that looks like?
Yeah. Do you want to?
Sure, yeah. I think that I'm gonna bring it back home a little bit. So, I think in our day-to-day roles, right, there's always those things that we know have to get done, but we just don't like doing it, right? I, for one, I love Excel, love it, but there are some days that I just cannot put my mind to just understand every little Excel macro. And I wish for a time when I no longer have to do that. Now that might be, with AI and whatnot coming up sooner rather than later, but I think for those operators, right, that are actually working the floor, that are actually the ones looking at your order, looking at your customers' orders, pulling product, double, triple checking that, hey, this is actually what the customer ordered. This is the box that it's going to go to. This is the label. That's a lot of repetitive work, right? That when at the end of the day, we want the operators to be really skilled at what they do, but we want to get rid of that repetitive work that they frankly don't want to do, right? And I think recalling the customer we were talking about earlier that didn't think that they were big enough, obviously at first, right, there's always going to be that little bit of a hesitation of, automation's scary. What is that going to do to labor? What's that going to do to my peers that are also working on lines next to me? What's really cool at that facility is that I don't believe they actually let anyone go, right? They just reprioritize that work and let those workers do other things that frankly were more important, less repetitive, and gave them more job security. So I think a lot in that particular case, we had operators that, when we showed back up 6 months later, they were like, "Oh, this is great! I can actually go home." And there was a lady that was telling me that I can actually go take a walk with my kids after school, right? Because I'm not so tired from walking around the facility all day. So it's cool stuff like that.
Yeah, most definitely. The automation is still a bit of a scary word, and it's something we've spent a lot of time around in the last 5-6 years here, where there's a stigma built around it, especially in a lot of facilities that do not have automation, have not experienced what that looks like. And for us, that's one of the kind of walls we would like to break down early on when we discuss automation, because we really don't come in to find ways to remove labor, to fully automate a facility, to make it run by itself. The reality is that's such a massive investment. It's doable in some places, but most places you still need to have that manual presence, having operators that are able to think on their feet very quickly and tackle whatever problem might arise. And those are the things that we never want to try and push out. We want to make sure that there's the right blend for all of our customers. And in this case, we were very happy with the results there, and they were happy as well. They know, especially as the need for increased throughput and things like that in our warehouses, we're seeing a higher need for labor that sometimes is not accessible, or it's a high volume of temporary labor that needs to come in to support being able to make sure that you're retaining your employees that are at that core facet for your company to operate, and giving them the right tools so they're more successful and more happy with their job. In this instance, not being sore every day from the same repetitive actions. Those are the things we really strive for. That's our target with automation.
That's awesome. And you guys kind of touched on those hesitations. So moving past that, how do you help reassure the customer?
Want me to go first? Sure. Yeah, so reassuring the customer, right? What some of the other concerns that I've had customers bring up is around the fact that hey, okay, you guys are going to help me figure out what type of technology I need. You're going to help me streamline my existing processes. You're going to put this cool automation system in. There's going to be robots flying around. It's going to be great. But then what happens when it's all done, right? I touched on this earlier, like, sure, you guys are going to continue to stop by and figure out how things work. But at the end of the day, there's this large system that's now in my facility. What if something goes wrong, right? Historically, as Jacob was saying earlier, we've been a forklift dealer in our footprint. And what we've been able to do that does help, we found that helps reassure our customers, is that we've been able to train those forklift technicians that are already, I think we have 400 plus in our footprint with an average call time of like less than 2 hours. We've been able to train those same technicians to then work on automation systems, right? So, in the past, our customers generally have never had an issue with calling us up and saying, hey, I have an issue with my such and such lift equipment. Can you come help? Our guys would be on site super quick. We now have that same capability with automation, right? And I think that puts our customers in a different headspace of like, okay, sure, they're going to make sure that the system is right for me. But then, forbid something happening in the future, I know that they're going to show up and help me fix any problems that they arise.
Yeah, that's been an impactful piece for us as we develop and we increase our presence with automation in our footprint. Being able to have those service technicians that are loaded up in their vans with everything they need for a forklift, be able to house some of those supplies that they might need for a conveyor or an AMR, things like that, or being able to support having a cabinet with all your spare parts on site, things like that. Those are the pieces we're really pushing for to develop that aftercare support once that project is completed. So that's been really impactful for us. And then, your worst case scenario when that technician might not have what they need or might not know the solution, our in-house engineering team is still very ready to access and easy to get a hold of to be able to support these projects, because we know anything that we put out for our partners that's got our name on it just as much as it has their name on it. We want to be able to be the person that you call, just like you would call for a forklift going down. We want to be the people that are going to be the first on site, the first to respond and get that system up and running for you.
Yeah. And actually, there's another customer of ours that was probably over a year ago now that recalled, I think maybe I shouldn't be saying this, that our old marketing term was like, our forklift technicians are the friendly man in the big red van, right? And he recalled it. He was like, it's honestly not just forklifts anymore; it's automation systems too. And I thought that was pretty funny.
That's hilarious. Yeah. That was before my time.
Yeah, that was before ours too.
That's great. And so, Carolina Handling has made this shift to automation. We've been known as a forklift dealer for the longest time. So what qualifies us to even engage in the automation space?
Yeah, that's a great question. For us, our team, we've really, with the growth in automation throughout distribution warehousing, we've seen that need and that push, and we've really tried to invest in a team that is able to support that. Looking at it from current state all the way to 5-10 years down the line, we've been actively building up a team. I think we've had, since I joined 4 years ago, I think our team has grown roughly probably 800%.
Oh yeah.
Just considering where we were at with going from a small team of, your warehousing group that's able to handle racking and some other general legacy products to a team that's got a lot of industry experience. Several of our engineering team are actually directly from other larger integrators. I won't name drop right now, but what we bring to the table is we've got, I think, over 150 years of experience combined throughout our team in automation specifically. So, and that ranges too. That's something that's been special for us is we've got people that have a rich history with conveyors going back to airport baggage handling and other facets, heavy duty industrial conveyor. We've got several people on our team that are focused around AGVs, AMRs, things like that. And those are the people that really, when we have the opportunity arise, we're calling the right person for the right solution right out of the gate to get them involved. Because where I might have some basic background on AMRs and AGVs, I know somebody that can handle it better, and I want him involved on that initial consultation. So you've got the right people in your corner.
That's a great point. All of you guys combined provide all the solutions.
Absolutely.
So just kind of wrapping up here and kind of putting the bow on everything, What makes Carolina Handling different? Why would somebody want to partner with you guys to work on a project?
Yeah, I mean, so I'm just gonna honestly just recall some of the thoughts that we've been discussing this whole time, right? Number one, right, we're not putting a square peg in a triangular hole, right? We're very vendor agnostic. We figure out what solution works for you. Before we even consider any of that, we do design studies with our customers to make sure that we are putting in systems that are effective, but also streamlining their existing processes before that. I don't think that you see that as much as you would think, at least from my prior experiences with other integrators. We honestly do partner with our customers. We are in their facilities consistently to make sure that they're happy. And frankly, kind of wrapping it up, after our engineering team, we have an amazing support and technician crew that's able to maintain these things for years and years to come. And I find it, I don't know, it's very rewarding to work here with a group of people that honestly are just so customer focused and always put the customer first.
Yeah, I would say our team culture really sets us apart in a way that we're able to jump into these opportunities and provide the right service out of the gate. And that's been something we take a lot of pride in, and we see it after the project's implemented and years to come that, it comes down to the simple case of some of our customers will pass our name along, and then all of a sudden we're getting calls that are saying, hey, I heard about whatever you did for so-and-so. Can you tell me more? And that's always probably one of the most rewarding calls we can get, knowing that what we've done in the past is growing what we can do in the future. And we've got people that want to work with us, that want to see what we can do and want us to be a partner for them.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much for all the insight, and thank you for the questions. Feel free to connect with these guys. If you have more questions, make sure you follow Carolina Handling so you can stay up to date with different news that we have. And I'll let these guys just give their name and title one more time so you know who they are. And thank you for joining.
No, I'm Gautham Sivakumar, Senior Project Manager with Carolina Handling.
And Jacob Barrett, Systems Engineer.